Sales numbers for August 2025, Toyota Lexus here in the United States have just rolled in. If you missed my video this morning, I talked about Kia, Hyundai, Genesis breaking all-time sales records for the month of August. Can Toyota do the same here? Or are they going to see the same sort of gains? You got to keep in mind, Hyundai was up like 12%. I had to go get the oil changed on the Signia, and yes, I can change my own oil if I wanted to, but it's like 90 degrees at 8 a.m. and humid as heck down here in Florida. So I went to Firestone. Could you believe that they quoted me at like $130 some for an oil change? Is that just where we are nowadays? I'm like, hey, I don't need the full synthetic, and it was literally half the price. I'm like, oh, wow. Anyways, guys, here are the numbers. If you guys are excited for this, make sure to hit that like button. I really would appreciate it. Some say the new thing is the hype. You can hype up videos. I have not even looked into it. If you guys know more about it, put it in the comments. Let's get into Toyota. Overall, Toyota for the month of August versus last August, we're not looking at DSR. We're going to be focusing on volume percentage. DSR is daily selling rate. If this number is higher than the volume percentage, it means you may have had one less selling day versus last August. Okay, so if you look at the volume is down, but the daily selling rate's up. It means you're selling more cars per day. So Toyota, as a total, is up 13.6%. That is outpacing Hyundai. If we go back to Hyundai, we saw an increase of 12%. Kia was, I think, a little over 10%. So even though Hyundai and Kia just broke all-time sales records for their respective brands, did Toyota. Well, if I go back to my email on the highlights, Lexus had the second best August ever, and it is Lexus's best year to date, but I don't see anything on Toyota's best August. I don't think they were there, but they were still up 14% versus last August. Second best August ever for Lexus. They're up 12.4%, even outpacing Hyundai's record-breaking month of August. All right, let's start with the sedans here. Starting with the Corolla. And by the way, I have a Corolla FX I'm reviewing this week. Let me know what you want me to do with it, because I just reviewed a Corolla LE and that was more entertaining because it was a base model. This FX has already been discontinued because it's an FX sedan and it's not an FX hatch. I don't know what to do with it. You guys tell me, do you want a normal review? Do you want me to compare it against the Prius plug-in that I'm also driving this week? I'm not sure what to do with it. You guys maybe give me an idea. I'm struggling. The Corolla is barely up on the year. It's about neutral, but it had a great month, up 9.5%. We have to kind of take into consideration tariffs here, right? They make the Corolla sedan, the gas model, in Mississippi. Are we seeing a huge shift towards Mississippi-made Corollas, or are we looking at maybe still a lot of hybrid Corollas coming in from Japan? Well, the hatchbacks I don't have individual volume for, but I do have individual volume for Corolla Hybrid. And here's the rough truth, guys. Look at this. Corolla Hybrid, it's a great buy, but Camry Hybrid's a better buy. Anyways, it's down 6% on the year, but it's trending in the wrong direction. It's down 10% on the month. Again, these are coming from Japan, and it's a lower ticket item, meaning there's less wiggle room to probably make up for tariffs. So Corolla Hybrid used to be one of the best deals on the market. I don't know. Maybe Toyota's really dropping export volume. It's hard to say, but it's not looking good. So if Corolla Hybrid volume is down a lot, why is Corolla up overall? Well, they're probably prioritizing cranking out those Corollas from Mississippi. They're nowhere near capacity at that plant, all right? So they have some wiggle room there to build more Corollas. So Corolla's having to come back a little bit on the backs of an American-made Corolla. Supra, whatever, GR86, up 45%. They sold less than 1,000, and it's still down 20% on the year. Mirai, whatever. Crown, minus 0.3. It's about a wash on the month, but you got to keep in mind it's struggling mightily because of the Crown Signia. Standard Crown down about 55%. Again, an import from Japan. It sold over 16,000 by this time last year. And if we look at the Crown Signia has sold 15,000 so far this year. So if you combine Crown plus Crown Signia, the Crown series is up. There's no doubt about that. Stay tuned for my Prius review. And again, look at this. Prius volume is down. Well, the Prius has a few problems. It's very high priced for how small it is. The Prius Prime, especially that I'm plug-in that I'm driving this week. Here's the thing. The Prius is up 84% on the year, despite this month being down 27%. Why is it up on the year? Well, you got to remember last year you had recalls and stop sale on the Prius. But the fact that it's down 26% is telling me more than likely Toyota is not sending very many or as many from Japan. Okay, so there's reduced volume and availability is just my guess. That would make sense to me. And we look at the Camry. Guys, Camry, oh, such a good car. The redesigned 25 Camry, especially the LE in terms of bang for your buck. All of them are great, but the LE is just crazy good for the money. Camry, up 2% on the year, but that North American, sorry, not North American, because that could include Mexico and Canada. The United States made product here in Kentucky, they're trying to crank these suckers out at high volumes due to reduced tariffs would be my guess. It's barely up on the year, but look, it's cranking on the month, kind of making up for a 1,800 unit drop on the Prius and a drop. Well, not so much of a drop on the Crown this month, but you know what I mean. All right, the Crown overall is down, not including the Signia. So the Camry is making up for the Camry. Here's the thing. Camry, I would take over a Crown. Yeah, I think I would. I'd take a Camry over a Crown because that 5th gen hybrid system is just so good. All right, if you want the Crown Platinum with that unique turbo hybrid powertrain, I get it. But if you're just getting a standard Crown, maybe you should just get the Camry. You can get all-wheel drive on the Camry now too. All right, and it costs less and it's a newer system, 5th gen versus the Crown's 4th gen hybrid. So overall, Toyota's cars are up 7% on the month, up 3.3% on the year, despite seeing, isn't this crazy? Despite seeing a massive drop in the Crown on the year, the Mirai, well, whatever, the GRA6 down the year, the Super down. Despite that, because the Prius is up on the year and the Camry's up a little bit on the year, we still have a pretty positive year for Toyota sedans and coupes in this scenario. Now moving on to Toyota, we'll get to Lexus, but we'll get into Toyota's crossovers and whatnot now. The BZ4X just got a redesign, about neutral in the year, and I shouldn't say a redesign, it's a heavy refresh. Think of a gas car getting a refresh, looks a little different, but the engine is way more efficient, more powerful, that sort of thing. That's kind of what happened here with the BZ4X. Better range, better charging, better software just by a hair, and then just better e-axles, which are way more efficient and powerful. The BZ4X dual motor now is like 4.6 seconds, 0 to 60. It's fast, really, really fast. All right. RAV4, but it's down 40% on the month. Why? Well, you have the revocation, if that's a word. You have the taking back of the CAFE situation. All right, you don't get fined for not meeting CAFE standards right now. So they don't need to send a bunch from Japan. They need to send, like Toyota needs to send a ton of these to Europe for their more strict laws over there. So that could be a reason. Also, tariffs are probably a reason. Also, them switching over to all new e-axles could be a reason as well. Doesn't really matter. BZ4X, like, look, it sells 1/142nd of a RAV4. The BZ4X is, and that's with tax credits. Once tax credit ends, who knows where the BZ is going to sell. Remember, it says BZ4X. It doesn't say BZ because they dropped the 4X. You guys know. All right, RAV4, up about a percentage point, but when you're talking about hundreds of thousands of units, that is significant. The RAV4 had the best, God, this is disgusting. It's disgustingly good for Toyota. The RAV4 had the best year ever last year. It sold like 475,000 in the United States. Just bonkers. It became not only the best-selling car in the United States, outpacing trucks like the F-150, it also beat globally, if I remember correctly, the Model Y in terms of a best-selling individual car. And look, the RAV4 is up a percentage on the year, but look what happened. We have a 20% gain. A 20% gain. It was down on the year before this monster month of August. where we saw an increase of over 7,000 units for the RAV4. Guys, RAV4 demand, and I can verify this. I talked to my dealer, who I'm lucky to review the RAV4 plug-in, the Prius plug-in hybrid this week from my local dealer. I asked him, I'm like, hey, are you seeing people like holding off on the RAV4 and waiting for the redesign? He's like, nah. He's like, that thing is still selling like hotcakes. I'm paraphrasing, but it's the truth. People don't care. They're not waiting for the new one. They just want a RAV4, and they don't care if it's this year's or next year's. The best-selling vehicle in America is up 20%. That's hard to even fathom. We saw on the Hyundai end, we saw things. Well, the Tucson's actually down. It was the Kia end. The Sportage also saw massive increases here. The Sportage was up 3,000 units, but the Sportage is at 120,000 units overall. Still insane numbers from Kia. We go back to Toyota. The RAV4 is at 321,000. So if you combined Sportage and Tucson, that's 267,000 units between Sportage and Tucson. We go back to the RAV4. The RAV4 is still outselling it by 55,000 units or something like that. That is just crazy. All right. And it's gaining momentum as it gets ready to be switched over to an old new generation. What are we going on 6 generations now? Or just crazy. Corolla Cross. This one is weird. It's up 9% on the year. And if we look at what they're pacing, being up 9% on the year, let's say they're at 67,000 units. We divide that by 8 now, and we multiply that by 12. They're only pacing 100,000 units. What is happening? That's only 2/3 of the capacity at that plant in Mazda, Alabama, Toyota Mazda, Alabama, in Huntsville. So it's well below capacity here. It's really strange. Now, sales reports for Mazda just came in, who builds the CX-50 at that plant. I'll cover Mazda in a separate video. All right. But to let you know, the CX-50 is up 37%, and the CX-50 is pacing 105,000. So they're both about 100 to 105,000 between those two vehicles made in Huntsville, Alabama at that joint plant between Mazda and Toyota. The CX-50 is up about 16%. So it's really bizarre here how the CX-50 is up 16%. And in that same plant, the Corolla Cross is almost exactly down that same amount. What does that say? Well, it seems like overall production is humming right along if you combine the two cars. Here's my theory here on this, okay? And I could be completely wrong. My theory is that they're reducing Corolla Cross output because Toyota has tons of other manufacturing in the United States. RAV4, Camry, Corolla, Grand Highlander, Sienna. They got the Tacoma, the Tundra, the Sequoia, the Highlander, etc. Okay, there's Lexus models in there too. Not very many, like the ES and the TX. Anyways, so Toyota has production in the United States. This is Toyota saying, hey, Mazda, since you only build one vehicle here in the United States as the nice big brother, we're going to let you take some of our Corolla Cross production volume. They're like, we really don't need that car anyway. We sell so many RAV4s, and that's a higher ticket item vehicle. We'd rather sell more RAV4s. So you guys can have some Corolla Cross, and you can thank us later as you ramp up your CX-50 to make as many cars as possible. They stopped sending CX-50s to Canada. Mazda did. They're trying to keep as many American-made cars here in the United States, and they just have one, and that's the CX-50 and CX-50 Hybrid. So let me know if you guys would agree with that, or is it just, hey, maybe the Corolla Cross has too many Japanese-sourced parts for that 2-liter hybrid, and so they would rather reduce production. That's a possibility too. We'll see. Crown Signia, made in Japan, sold 15,000 units this year, and it's sold about 1,500 on the month, which is actually not that much more than the standard Crown. So we're seeing a drop in terms of sales volume seemingly for the Crown Signia. But anyways, let's keep reading. Venza, rest in peace. They still sold 3 last month. Highlander. I mean, this vehicle is just going to keep diminishing until they start making it once again. I shouldn't. They are. It's still in production, but the next generation is supposed to go fully electric. I hope they don't go forward with that. They can offer a fully electric, but don't make it only fully electric. Offer it a hybrid too. All right, but if they come out with the new they kill the current Highlander, they build the new Highlander in Kentucky, and they make it EV only, these sales will continue to plummet, guys. We just talked about my Hyundai video. I'm driving the Ioniq 9 this week, a 3-row EV, and it is really good. It's really good. Can Toyota out 3-row EV Hyundai Ioniq? Probably not, but it's a Toyota, so they might get some brownie points there. But EV buyers are less loyal, I would say, to a particular brand. Now that Tesla is just, it is what it is. Look, the Ioniq 9 sold 1,000 units. If I go to Kia sold 2,600 units, but once EV tax credit's gone, these 3-row EV sales are even going to plummet further. Okay, I know the EV9 is up, but look how much it's down on the year. It's down like 4,000 units on the year. Okay, despite it being one of the best 3-row EVs on the market. So Toyota, fair warning, and you probably already know this because you're really slow with EV adoption and bringing out new EVs, and it's benefited your company great. But this 4,000 sales that you have on the Highlander, you're not going to get that on a 3-row EV. Let me know if you think Toyota could fetch those sort of numbers. I don't think so. Now, the Grand Highlander is the better vehicle. It's better looking, has more space, it has more powertrain options. Grand Highlander they should just kill the Highlander and get rid of the Grand on the Grand Highlander and just rename the Grand Highlander the Highlander. It's crazy. It's so frustrating. But anyways, the Grand Highlander is up 61% at the cost of the Highlander being down about 50%. But the demand for bigger, more spacious crossovers is there. Look at this, selling 89,000. The Grand Highlander is easily the second best selling Toyota crossover, and it's obviously a far distance behind the RAV4. The Grand Highlander, when you look at it, it just looks like a RAV4 XXXL. It has the same sort of front end. That is before obviously the new redesign with the hammerhead grille coming out. But the Grand Highlander probably is going to get that hammerhead design when they refresh it. That would make sense to me. They're in no hurry to refresh the Grand Highlander. The demand for it's through the roof. Finding a hybrid on these is almost impossible. Still, 4Runner, wow. The 4Runner actually outsold the Grand Highlander last month. Now, I just said that the Grand Highlander is second best selling, but that's when you include the totality of the year. 4Runner, 58,000 units. It's still down 44% on the year. So the 4Runner's tracking about 87,000 units. The 4Runner just a few years ago was selling about 150,000 units per year. Let me fact check that. They sold 144,000 in 2021. Last year it was 92,000. Again, they are pacing 87,000 4Runners. So 4Runner, I saw one today and it had that cool powder blue color. Heritage, is it the Cavalry blue or Heritage blue? One of the two. And I'm like, man, that's a great color. And then I saw it driving and I'm like, gosh, the new 4Runner is so much uglier than the old 4Runner. That's just my opinion. Let me know if you guys agree with that. And a lot of people are going to miss the V6. So I really like the 4Runner. I enjoy how it drives. But man, it's uglier than the last one. And it's way uglier than the Land Cruiser. Some of you might disagree, but that's all right. So 4Runner turning things around. It's still, though, it's going to be a while before we see that sales volume return. Will it ever return to 144,000? I highly doubt it. I think we're at a place now where the 4Runner is less desirable than it was with the previous generation, and it might be tough for them to pass 100,000 sales ever in a calendar year here in the US. Sequoia, down 20% on the month, minus 5% on the year. I don't know what to say about it. It's not a very good body-on-frame SUV. Land Cruiser, up 116% on the year, but down 45% on the month. Wow, that's interesting. Maybe they're prioritizing cranking out Land Cruisers out of the Tahara plant. Sorry, 4Runners out of the Tahar plant than the Land Cruiser. Not quite sure why it's down so much. Like the Land Cruiser, it's a good vehicle, but it has its limitations. Now to Toyota Sienna. Frick, man. Minivans, so good. Like I said, I just got the oil changed on my V6 2013 Sienna. Drives like a brand new car. It's quieter and smoother than most new cars. Anyways, up 54% on the year, up 14.5%. This is what Toyota did in that plant in Indiana. They reduced Highlander volume. Again, Highlander is down massively, 45% on the year, so that they could increase Sienna volume and Grand Highlander volume. All right, so Sienna's up 15% on the month, 54% on the year. You know, they just need to crank as many Siennas as possible. I'm still waiting. Gosh, if a Sienna plug-in hybrid came out, oh man, or if Honda came out with a plug-in Odyssey, I'm still waiting for it. I'm still waiting for it. That would make, oh man. Well, the Tacoma's doing crazy stuff. And the reason is the sales volume on it is astronomical. It's up 70% on the year, 29% up on the month. Guys, I want to again see like 184 divided by 8 times 12. They're pacing 276,000 Tacomas, 276,000 Tacomas. I heard something from my dealer friends. Not saying it's my local dealer, so that's what I'm here to take it with a grain of salt, that there was a massive order of Tacomas fleet sales. There was a massive order of fleet sales by a big company, and that company bailed out of that purchase. And so a lot of the dealers had to just absorb what were potentially fleet vehicles, stripped out, basic Tacomas, and they had to take them in within their own lineups. If I look at, oh man, there's 1,500 Tacomas within 150 miles of me. Let's see, where are most of them are SR5s. You have a few SRs in there, but a ton of SR5s. And when you have this much volume of a single trim level, I would assume prices are going to start coming down. These are still expensive trucks, you know, $36K for a pretty basic truck here. And there's just a ton of them. $2,000 price drop, $3,000 price drop. A lot of Tacomas to be had, that is for sure. I mean, if we look at other vehicles, there's about 50% more Tacomas than there are Camrys. There's even more Tacomas than there are Corollas. And you can see there's about, let's just say 1,000 RAV4s in my area when you include the hybrid. Yeah, there's still 50% more Tacomas than there are RAV4s. And we go back to sales, the Tacoma short about 140,000 units of the RAV4 sales. So just lets you know there's probably about minimum twice the demand for a RAV4 versus a Tacoma. Tacoma has a ton of inventory right now. All right, they're selling them. Look at these numbers, guys. These numbers are huge. 26,000 in the month. If we look at Toyota crossovers, nothing comes close. Grand Highlander and 4Runner at 13,000. If we look at Camry, the Camry's at 28,000. So it's even outselling the Tacoma. The Tacoma's outselling the Corolla. That's crazy. Now let's look at Tacoma sales all time. Wow. Okay. So ever since 2018, and besides the drop in 2024 with supply changes with the supply issues, lots of other issues, the 2024 model when they redesigned it. But previously, when you looked at 2018 to 2023, they were selling 230 to 250,000 Tacomas. Guys, based off the sales volume this year, they are pacing 276,000 Tacomas. Who's buying all these Tacomas? That is crazy. I mean, maybe there's still pent-up demand after the huge drop in production volume and sales volume last year. Maybe they're overcompensating for the lack of availability last year. That's a possibility. That would make sense to me. But this is going to be a record-breaking year for the Tacoma on the new redesign. It's not my favorite truck. It's probably my second favorite truck. I haven't driven the Ranger recently. I like the Tacoma better than the Colorado, but the Frontier with the 3.8 liter V6, I don't need to say it more than 1,000 times, but I'll say it again. It's a way better truck than the Tacoma in just my opinion. But that is not stopping the Tacoma from selling like there's no tomorrow. Tundra down 17%. I was told by some dealer friends that the Tundra is on stop sale. And I don't want to say too much about a situation I don't know a lot about, but the Tundra is having quality control issues. So is that a surprise after we've had a twin turbo V6 recall on it? And the answer is not a surprise. Down 17% on the month and 4 to 5% on the year. And we see the Sequoia drop as well because of quality control issues. Who knows what's going on? I don't know. I really don't know. I just know that there's a stoppage of sales on these vehicles. Or maybe not a complete stop sale, but a stoppage of normal flow. I'll just say that. So that's interesting. If you guys know more about the Sequoia Tundra situation and what's going on with it with production, comment down below. I'm sure some of you guys know out there. All right, now into Lexus. Whew, I need a drink real quick. Oh, let's wet that whistle and get onto the Lexus IS. It's neutral in the year, but up 15% on the month. And there are reports out there that this vehicle is ending production in Japan at the end of this year. Well, maybe. I haven't heard anything. Lexus hasn't communicated it. If they end IS production, they better have something to replace it. All right. Now, the Japan Mobility Show that I'm going to next month, Lexus is supposed to have this groundbreaking show. Anytime I've gotten hyped for Lexus, I've been disappointed. And because my hype is unnatural, because I used to work and sell for Lexus, I started this channel actually as a Lexus channel. So my hype for them is never substantiated or realized. So IS up 15%. Is the IS going to be replaced by something at the Japan Mobility Show? Well, they just trademarked the ZC. The ZC is a fully electric IS-sized little sedan. Okay, and we'll get a production version of it in just a month from now. But I hope the new IS ZC doesn't look like the concept ZC. I hope it looks more like this. This car will be at the Japan Mobility Show, guaranteed, on this new concept. I hope the new IS has this sort of front end. I don't like the ZC whatsoever. I hope this is what it looks like. Some people are saying, hey, Kirk, that's not an EV. It's a gas car. I mean, anything's possible, but I highly doubt it. This looks like an EV. There are no exhaust tips, for crying out loud. And the new Lexus design, looks a little bit more of what they showed in 2021. If we go back to this front end here, beautiful, stunning. It does look very similar to these front ends. And I hope the new IS looks like these things. If at the Japan Mobility Show, they say, hey, this is what we've been working on. They're like, here's the new freaking IS. It's fully electric. I'll be like, shoot. But if they're like, yeah, but here's the standard IS electric. And then we have a wagon or a shooting brake wagon sort of IS. I'll be like, okay, I'm probably sold. But look, there's two different versions of it. So you have one that's like a cross country, and then you have one that's slammed, looks so good. And they're like, oh yeah, and then we're going to have an EV IS convertible. I'm like, I think I'm sold. I'm not that huge of a fan of the LFZC, which I think looks like complete trash. All right. When David and I walked around this vehicle, we're like, what are we actually looking at here? What is this thing? Now they've trademarked ZC, so it's almost guaranteed to come. But I'm keeping my hopes and prayers open that the ZC is this lineup of ISs and not this robotic, crazy 10-screen interior piece of garbage. This to me is almost the equivalent of the Lexus Cybertruck if they go this route. Maybe that's probably too harsh, but I don't want it. I want this lineup, and I think many of you guys would agree. All right, but we're talking about IS sales. Is it going to go fully electric? I don't even know if Lexus knows at this point. All right, so RC down 50%, rest in peace. ES, again, new ES coming out right here. I'm on the EU website. It is fully electric, but we will get a hybrid version probably after initial launch. I've roasted this vehicle a million times by its lackluster interior, and it's crazy designs. It's not really a sedan anymore. It's kind of like the Crown sedan, whose sales are not doing well, and it's not a real liftback. It's still a sedan, which has its benefits for sound isolation, rigidity versus a liftback. I mean, the back looks nice, but I'm not sold on the exterior design, and I'm definitely not sold on the interior design. I still want to drive it. Maybe if I drive it, I'm like, this is the best EV I've ever driven. I highly doubt it. The market's saying, hey, we don't want EVs in America. For the most part, there is an exception. The majority are saying, just give me the hybrid. And there's no powerful hybrid on this. There's no 300 plus horsepower turbo hybrid. That's a fail. There's no plug-in hybrid. Big fail. And so the ES, this is your last chance to get an ES with a V6. Also an ES that's not electrified. This is it. The ES, if I were to review an ES right now, where would it be on my spreadsheet of the best cars that I reviewed? It would be S tier. That's how good the ES. The ES is better than the NX. It's better than the RX. It's better than the IS because it's much more modern, in my opinion. It's not as fun to drive as the IS, but it's a better car. I think many of you would agree with that, especially like it's just a really, really well executed luxury vehicle, and it's no longer going to be a true sedan. So I'm a bit sad for it, but hey, sales are okay. They're okay on it. They are leaving ES production in Kentucky by the end of this year. December is when they're ending production, and then they're bringing them in from Japan. Okay. Which is great, right? We love the idea of our Lexus is built in Japan. At least I do. LS Reston. I mean, kill this damn thing. Kill it. They've already announced that the ES is the new flagship. They've said it over and over in the press materials. This new generation ES is the new flagship. They're not even trying. They haven't tried with the LS probably since the LS 460. So late 2000s. Peak LS was probably 1990 to 2005, 2006, something like that. That was peak LS. That era is gone. They don't need to have a flagship sedan anymore. They're not going to beat the Germans at flagship sedans. Not even like they have zero shot in Europe. There's no market left in the US for flagship sedans. And if they were to go fully electric on it, everyone would laugh because it would be a joke compared to a Lucid Air. All right. So the LS needs to be reimagined as something else. They can just kill it. I think that just needs to be killed. But then where's your flagship? Well, I don't know. There is no LS in this briefing. They've been planning to kill the LS for a long time. We need to have a flagship SUV. And there's a good chance that we could get a flagship SUV. Think of the Century, the Toyota Century, as a Lexus. I think that's the only way to do it. You bring it as a plug-in hybrid and you call it a day. Simple as that. I mean, rebadge the Century SUV as a Lexus and just call it a day. You know, we'll see what happens though. But the LS is surely to be discontinued. There's no market left for them to spend all that money in a full-size luxury sedan. All right. LC500, it's hanging on, sort of. It's still in production. It is the best Lexus, bar none, on sale. Just costs about 115 grand. So it's one of the most expensive Lexuses, but it is a masterpiece of a vehicle with a 5-liter V8. It's down 20% on the year. But it is so good. I love the LC. Put in the comments LC forever or something or something like that if you want the LC to stick around forever and ever and ever and ever. Overall, Lexus cars down 4% on the year, down 3% on the month, despite the IS having a good month. LS, it's surely going to be killed. LC, surely going to be killed at some point. ES, hanging on. RC is killed off. And so the IS needs to evolve to a more flexible vehicle. The IS and the ES are the only ones that need to be around. Again, going back to this, here's a new ES, the new IS. I sure hope it's these things. Please bring them. Man, I think that the IS could be the best looking EV on the market. If they come out with a lineup like this, and it'd be very versatile. Would I still prefer gas options or a high performance hybrid options? Yes, I would. but hopefully Toyota can blow me away with this, or Lexus in this case. All right. Anyways, let's stay focused. Going down to Lexus crossovers now. Lexus UX had a killer month. I mean, I say killer. It's still a joke in terms of sales. It's selling literally 1/10 of what the NX does. It should not be selling 1/10. It should be selling better, a lot better. Why isn't it selling well? Well, I'm driving a Prius plug-in this week that I think is already overpriced, but the powertrain is compelling on it. If we go to the UX 300H, there's hardly any in my area. Why would I ever buy a even tinier on the inside Lexus UX versus a Prius plug-in hybrid? This has the standard Prius's hybrid system, the 2-liter with 196 horsepower, or 194 if you get front wheel drive or whatever. It's a smaller package. The Prius looks infinitely better. It is a better vehicle on the insides. The Prius has more cargo capacity, I believe, than even this UX. The Prius is more efficient. I mean, I'm not a fan of the UX. Never have been. The hybrid, if it's just you driving around and you're not hauling anyone, yeah, it's fine. But still, I would take a Prius over this any day of the week. That's just me. I know I have some UX owners on the channel here. I hope you love your car. And that's the only thing that matters. Does your car make you happy? The UX does not make me happy, and that's why they need to have a better vehicle than this sliding under the NX, or no vehicle at all. They really don't need it because the NX has remained a pretty small crossover. This one, it's just, man, I wish it was just more flexible, more interior space. And yeah, it's just a really compromised product and very expensive. Give me a Prius plug-in and call it a day. Despite my woes with it, it is up 32% on the month. It's neutral on the year. Oh man, I think I would even take, let me know if you guys would take an Acura ADX over a UX. The ADX is way more spacious. It's more comfortable, has better tech, I would say. The UX has way better efficiency. Like the ADX gets like 23 miles per gallon. It's terrible. They're both not that fast. I think the UX actually might be faster with its hybrid. It's crazy to say that because the ADX is turbo. Anyways, NX, good year, up 7% on the year, down 3% on the month. We get a lot of NXs from Canada. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but we'll see. RZ, their only EV, isn't this funny? Their only EVs down 31% on the year. They just refreshed it. No one cares. No one cares. It's down 33% on the year. RX, their cash cow, their bell cow, down 3% on the month, down 4% on the year. Why is Lexus down there? The answer is, you're going to have some people naturally float to the TX. Look at these TX sales. They're getting close to the NX's sales. The TX is a very good luxury 3-row. I would still take a Grand Highlander over and save about 10, 15 grand. But the TX is still a very nice 3-row and accommodating 3-row. The problem is it only has 6 seats in the hybrids, and that is frustrating from a guy who has a big family. So TX still compromised, and it just shares too much with the Grand Highlander to make it a super compelling product. But a lot of people don't care. They'll just like they don't care with the UX. They're like, I'm not buying a Toyota. Give me the cheapest Lexus, and that's fine. It's not a bad car. TX, not a bad SUV. It's just uglier and more expensive than the Grand Highlander. It's still selling like crazy. It's up 65% on the year. They've sold 35,000 units of it. To put that in perspective, it's almost sold as much as the standard Highlander this year. Bonkers. And it outsold the Highlander by a lot this past month. Lexus GX. Well, there's a big pent-up demand for the GX. It's up 43% on the month, down 16% on the year. I don't know if tariffs are causing that. I don't know. But the GX, the Toyota Land Cruiser, the 4Runner, those three are very similar. They're all built at the same plant or adjacent plant in Toyota City. So I don't know if something is going on over there. We know Toyota has issues with the F platform with the Tundra right now, but we don't see those issues with the sort of sales volume on the Tacoma. LX finally has a hybrid, up 7% on the month, up 12% on the year. If you got, well over 6 figures to spend on a luxury Lexus. And mainly Lexus is up here 16% on the month due to the TX. A few years ago, they didn't have this. So they just got 5,000 extra sales to their crossover lineup, and it's working wonders for them. All right. Just like the Grand Highlander is for Toyota. It's a miracle worker for them. But Lexus still has plenty of things they need to figure out. They need to figure out what they're doing with the IS. They need to officially cancel the LS. They need to come in with a new flagship LC or LFR, some sort of high-end performance car like the LFR. That needs to happen. That could happen at the Japan Mobility Show as well. So Lexus has their work cut out for them. But despite that, they had their second best August ever. They're on pace to have the best year ever after breaking all-time sales record last year. They're probably going to do it again this year. And their product lineup is, it's diverse. They're not doing great with coupes. They're not doing great with big sedans or small sedans, really, because the IS is just kind of neutral on the year. We need new product because the ES is starting to come down. Will the new ES help it? No, because if it's only battery electric to start, sales are going to keep going down on it. And you might be saying, Kirk, if the IS goes fully electric, sales will keep going down on it. Lexus still has this dream and this hope to be fully electric by 2030. Meanwhile, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audi, they're all like, it's not going to work out. So we'll see what happens. I'll see you guys in the comments. This was a long one, but Toyota's the biggest manufacturer in the world, so I'm going to spend my time with them, and you guys really, really like geeking out over Toyota and Lexus with me. So I appreciate you coming on today's video, and stay tuned. I won't get to it today more than likely, but we still have Honda, we still have Mazda, Subaru. I'm sure there's someone else I'm missing that we need to go over still. So thank you for watching. And Toyota's just a buzzsaw right now in today's market. People just can't stop buying their RAV4s. They can't stop buying their Grand Highlanders, their Tacomas, whatever it is. They're just gobbling it up. And it's interesting to see Toyota run hot on vehicles they're producing stateside, like the Camry, the Corolla, the RAV4, the Grand Highlander. They're cranking those things out at levels maybe we haven't seen before. So, wow, cool stuff. We'll see where they head in September, right? I'll see you early October for this September one. A lot of stuff coming down that channel. Again, getting back to Japan this October to give you guys all these cool updates from Toyota, Honda, Mazda, Nissan if they have anything, Subaru, Mitsubishi, all the cool Japanese automakers, and the ones maybe you don't think are that cool. I'm going to cover them anyways at the Japan Mobility Show in about a month and a half from now. Thank you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.